Okay, Roland, we're just in your subfloor area here. I'm just going to point out a few little things that are in relation to the structural side of the property. You see the up here, this is the front building line, and you're looking at it from Eaton Street. It's a timber post just there that goes straight into ground, and it's not vertically level. And there's a bracket that's been added to support the bearer, which is load bearing. That's probably indicative of the condition of the footings throughout. There's a little bit of, over here you'll see there's a steel column which is not flush, and at the top see the bearer which runs along here. It should be on the center of the column for maximum strength, which is the column's tilted and showing corrosion at the bottom, which is also consistent with most of the others because of the contour of the land. But you see it just sits on the outside of that plate, and the plate is actually dropped down, so the weight is too much for that column there. So again, there's all these little sorts of things that that are in here that are not inconsistent with yesteryear Queenslander construction, but I'll just pause now and show some others. So just in relation to the little small deck off the right side now, Roland, you've got some timbers here that are older, and they're not quite sitting, quite deteriorated, and they're supporting that about a metre span of the deck, and a little bit ad hoc in some nature, as you can see, with chocked and unevenness and cut out members. So again, it's done from consistent from its age, but certainly from my perspective, it has to be pointed out as being needing rectification because of the potential for any injury or whatnot. Just here you can see this, in some cases the bearer has not continued and they've chocked on a support member which transfers the load, so ideally that bearer here should continue over to there, but they've just tapped on that one. So that's sort of another indication of how it's been done in the lower level. The last thing I wanted to show you, Roland, was a lot of the isolated pier steel columns support. Some of them are older, prime coated, and some of them have been replaced with the new zinc-aluminum, particularly on the front. You see how that one's tilted? It's not straight, and there's a number of steel columns in the subfloor that have tilted. If we go along here, you can see that one's leaning forward from Eaton Street, the road. So at the top, it's leaning back towards me, taking it. At the bottom, it's further away. And some of them are, if you want to move here, see along here, you can see clearly that's line up with that. That's leaning backwards, not vertically plumb. So I think it's got two things here. It's got the contours of the land which come up from Eaton Street, which is where I'm looking at now, and that's having a little bit of an effect on the footings there that I'm poking at. There's erosion along the footings, but that's not actually holding your house up, that's holding the external wall out. But nonetheless, if it does continue, it would put pressure on those footings. So that needs to be strengthened, I would say, or looked at. And the moisture coming in, probably putting discharge on the ice, the footing down the bottom there, but also a lack of bracing. So ultimately, I have to pass this on to a structural engineer, as they're deemed to be the only ones capable from a legal perspective and based on legal precedent of giving you advice you can rely on. And there's a lot of other information in the report. This is just a sort of a video to help you understand and see what's here in the subfloor area. So hopefully that helps.